flu and I've had it for a week, so you'll have to excuse my voice. And you haven't seen me around for a little bit because we've been legs up. But thanks you all for coming along today. And I'd also like to extend my respects to the traditional owners of the land and the lands that we're on. I know there's some issues coming up with that and we need to address them in the council should we get elected in the future. And we want to bring some Indigenous culture back to the Indigenous people of Ipswich so that they have a place that they can call their own and have ownership of it, and bring their culture to the people of Ipswich so that the people of Ipswich understand the culture. I've put on the first Indigenous corroboree at a show in a town, and I know how important it is for culture to be recognised by the people, but also be preserved by the people who own that culture. And having worked with the Indigenous Community Justice Committee in keeping Indigenous kids out of jail is an important aspect of making sure that Indigenous culture is respected, as well as people understand where the boundaries are with everything to do with law. With this election, the people of Ipswich are going to be asked to look at what direction do you, as a major city in Australia, want to go. Do you want more of the same, or do you want a city that's built on truth, real growth and prosperity? What sort of Ipswich do we want to be? One where the people have a real say, or one that is controlled by developers and the political parties? When we have a look at the Ipswich and how it's been run, when you look at over the years, you have a look at when was the last time Ipswich had a true independent council that was run by a true independent mayor that was not aligned to a political party. We have a real space in history here to make this change, and to let us show you what a true independent can be in the council, and how an independent that is not funded by developers, doesn't have, money changes minds. No matter who says it any different, money changes minds. And when politicians get given money, their mind changes. And we need to stop that. And we need to clean up Ipswich. And this is one of these values that we've got to do. So, do you want a future you want for your kids, or a future that is pre-planned by the amount of donations given to those charged with representing you? And today, in this election, we can plan for a future based on a neutral aspect of a council that is for your kids and for the future of the city, and not based on what some developer has got some fancy drawing that's put up in watercolours. At the moment, Ipswich is on the front page of every newspaper around the country for all the wrong reasons, and this needs to change. And we need to clean up Ipswich because it needs to change. If we keep on the same path and we elect councillors or people who are still in there or people who are in the system, the front page will not change. Right? We will still end up with that same front page. It will still be the same. In 6 months and 12 months' time, they will still be talking about these inquiries. They'll be talking about the CCC. They'll be talking about how this donation affected people, how this donation did this. These people donated to that and they seem to get privilege and everything else. We need to change that front page so that people of Ipswich can move on from this point. We have seen a council that has failed to own up to the real issues of Ipswich. For the past 5 years, the Bremer River has been the most polluted river in southeast Queensland. That's the most polluted river in southeast Queensland. The Bremer River starts in Ipswich, it finishes in Ipswich. There is no reason why it should be polluted as much as it is. The primary cause of this pollution is sediment from land clearing. So it's time to clean up Ipswich. In Ipswich, there's an average of 196 hectares of tree clearing in koala habitat every year since 2007. That's 196 hectares every year of clear tree felling in Ipswich. Just in 2016, there were 432 koalas brought to the Wakehold Koala Hospital. Only 33 of those were returned back to the wild. The rest were put down and euthanized. Most of these koalas were injured as a direct result of land clearing. Now, we say, oh, but some of them had chlamydia and some of them had a disease, but all of them went to the Koala Animal Hospital because they were dislodged from their home by land clearing. They were injured by cars because they had to move out of their environment. They were attacked by dogs because they had nowhere else to stay. So this is what we're saying. We need to stop this because this is killing our wildlife. It is destroying our environment. Ipswich is one of the most toxic landfill sites in Australia. And this site is operated by companies that provide substantial donations to those who are elected to represent you. Thousands of tonnes of poisons and toxins are reseeded into the landfill every year. Ipswich residents, and this is a fact, Ipswich residents have the highest rate of respiratory disease in Queensland. That's respiratory disease because of what you're breathing. Now, we're not saying it directly relates to the toxic landfill or anything else, but when you have a toxic landfill that has got fumes and smoke all over the city, it stinks. This has got to be impacting on everything that's happened. We have an air quality monitor in Ipswich. It measures 3 types of gases. It doesn't measure toxic gas. And it is only in a position that it can collect and read these 3 types of gases for around about 5% of the year. It's in the wrong place. The only monitor that can monitor the toxic gases that come out of the landfill site is based at Springwood, down in Logan. It's not based in Ipswich. So that's the closest one. So when they say, well, we monitored the site and it's not toxic, they actually didn't take any of the monitoring from the site. Now, we want to address that really early on and make sure that what comes out of Ipswich in the air, the water and the land is clean and clear and environmentally compatible. In Ipswich, we have 19% youth unemployment. That's 19%. That's 19 people in every 100 of our youth are unemployed. But do you know that 27% of those youth unemployed are unemployed for longer than 1 year? So these people are unemployed for a longer period of time than any other youth in Australia. The average of youth unemployment in Australia is under 23%. In Ipswich is 27%. So we have a look at the vandalism of the city and the people. It has to change because when you have long-time youth unemployment, you end up in a culture of restlessness where people have nothing to do. So because they're not earning money, they have no worth unless they have a job. And my goal is that if you live in Ipswich, you should have every opportunity to have a job in Ipswich. People say Ipswich has a population boom. Actually, nothing could be further from the truth. We have a building lot approval boom. In some cases, I think we approve 5,000 lots a year, but only 800 of those 5,000 lots ever get sold. So the boom is based on lot approvals. It's not actually based on how many houses were built or how many people actually moved in. And when we had a look at the statistics over the years, there was only 2,000 people or 2,200 people extra enrolled on to vote each year. So where they're saying, well, it's growing by 8,000 people a year and it's grown by 500 people in 3 months in one area, that's actually not true, because it's actually, all we're doing is moving people from one area to the other. We're not actually increasing the population of the city, and that needs to change. On what is actually told to you, so that, I'll give you an example. If you purchased a house in Ipswich in December 2015 for $330,000, in December 2016 that house was worth $30,000 less. So you actually lost $30,000 over a period of 12 months. And this is because we get told all these figures and people think, well, there's a boom on, but our price of our house is actually dropping. So of a medium-sized house, of a medium house, it's actually dropping. So I will address broad-scale clearing and ensure that we not only have offsets for trees but trees remain and homes are built into the environment, so that koalas aren't dislodged from their trees as much, from their homes as much, in that they can actually live in the same environment as what people build their houses. And that needs to be a thing that we need to address. Koalas are very resilient, and we can do that. There's a lot of different things to do with how we can better progress it. I will address the sediment issue and make sure that water runoff and flow over the land is slowed into streetscaping detention islands, which will arrest these flows. Now, a lot of flash flooding happens because we build all these houses, and it's like the floor in this building here in the hall. Whereas if you put the water down, there's nowhere for it to go, so it rushes off into our catchment area at a very fast rate and goes down our stormwater drains. All the new technology of